Hey guys, I'm your instructor Kevin Eiler, and I'm going to have a couple, maybe three instructional videos for you in this class to help you through some of the readings. If you do struggle with any of the other readings, please feel free to shoot me an email. We can make an appointment. We can get together in the office and hash some of this stuff out. Also, feel free to give me a call by phone, and I'm happy to discuss things over the phone as well. For this first video, we're going to talk about Thomas Hobbes and his work Leviathan. Hobbes is a materialist. He thinks that all information comes from your experience of things in this world. We also have that for Hobbes, nothing enters the mind that was not first impressed on you through your sense organs. So taste, touch, sight, smell, hearing. Before I move on to make Hobbes's point on this, let's compare him to Plato, or let's start with Plato. For Plato, you do have knowledge and understanding of things that come from sources other than your senses. For Plato, if we looked at an idea like perfection, for example, a perfect justice or perfect love, for example, right? The question is, where does my idea about the perfect type of love or the perfect form of justice come from? If you looked around this world, you'd never find an example of absolute perfect love or an example of absolute perfect justice. We might be able to get close, but we always come up just a little bit short at the end of the day. So if we kind of recount that very, very quickly with Plato, you have perfect ideas of things. But if we're really fair to our experience, those perfect ideas are only imperfectly manifested in this particular world. So if we have the idea of a thing, but we don't have the experience of a thing, the question for Plato is, where does that idea come from? For him, since it doesn't come from experience, it has to come from some other place, some other realm. And as your book mentions, sort of this kingdom of ideas. So for Plato, there are concepts and ideas and things that precede our experiencing them in this world. For Hobbes, that's not the case. All right, for Hobbes, right, there's nothing in your mind that was not first impressed on your sense organs, right, through seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. And what I think that we can do here is just use an example to sort of beg the question to make Hobbes's point. So maybe after this video, you can do what I'm about to explain here as sort of a test, and then after you perform this sort of test, ask yourself, do the things that we know come from any other source outside of the senses? Is there some other source, such as Plato suggests, this kingdom of ideas, or is the only source of our knowledge our sensory experience, right? Again, taste, touch, sight, smell, hearing. All right, so here is the test. What you can do is go to your TV and you turn on your TV, right? It comes on, you look at it, you can see the images on the screen, you can hear the things that are being said. Let's say you're a sports fanatic and, we're in St. Louis, you're watching the Blues, or, currently you're watching a Cardinals baseball game, right? So you're watching the game, no problem. You can hear the announcers. Now what I'd want you to do, or what I'd like you to do, is hit the mute button, all right? So continue to watch the TV, but watch it in silence, all right? What is lost for you as far as the information is concerned when you mute the TV? So maybe your favorite hitter is up, all right, and maybe there's a display on the screen. You can, use your eyes to see their average is, 268, and they've hit so many home runs, and they got so many RBIs and all that sort of a thing. But maybe since you've hit mute, the announcer is also explaining, some history about this player or his background or how he got to the major leagues and all this other information, right? So you're being deprived of certain knowledge by not being able to hear what's going on the TV, right? So what happens if you're deprived of your hearing, all right? So you can continue watching the TV now. But now what I want you to do is keep it on, have it muted, And now close your eyes. All right, and keep them closed. Now, right, what's coming to you? What can you tell me about the images that are on that TV screen and about what is happening? I deprived you of your hearing. I've deprived you now of your sight. Now, what is it that you actually know about that television screen? All right. You probably know that it is there from experience, but you can't tell me anything about the images being displayed or about any of the sounds, right, that would be coming out of that TV if you didn't hit the mute button. So, what's the point here? What can you know about anything if you are deprived of your sensory experience? I just deprived you of two, right? Your hearing and your sight. Well, what happens if you're also deprived of your taste and your touch and your smell, right? That's the question. And for Hobbes, we don't know anything, all right, if we don't, we do not know anything if we cannot possess that knowledge through sensory experience. So if you still say, well, I think Plato has a point here, the question is, right, where does that knowledge come from? You know, Plato says there's this sort of realm of perfect ideas somewhere else. Well, where is that? And how does that information get sort of inputted into your brain? Those are the other questions that exist when we compare Hobbes to Plato. All right, so if we sort of go back to the beginning, where we began, and the question, right, do the senses represent our only way of knowing about the world, right? Is Hobbes correct in this, or is there any other way for something to enter the mind, right, like Plato's realm of ideas? But we still have the question with that realm of ideas of Plato's, where is this realm, right? And how do the ideas get from this realm, you know, this other realm, into your mind, all right? So who's correct here? Maybe as an example, there's other ways of seeing, but we're only going to cover two here with Plato and Hobbes. But what do you think? Why do you think it? And can you justify your position? All right, thanks, guys.